Simply Defensive brings you the industry's top practitioners, innovators, and leaders to inform, educate, and entertain. Join us as we unlock the secrets of defensive cybersecurity. Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Simply Defensive. I'm Josh Mason, and with me as always is Wade Wells.
What's up?
And today we've got with us Reanna. Oh man, SOC manager, podcaster, cyber influencer. How do you like to introduce yourself? Or
I personally, whenever I go to like my speaking engagements and stuff, first I say my name right, but I always tell people, you can refer to me as the gal from Kansas City, and I'm also a professional scrapbooker. So I ran out of characters on my LinkedIn title, but just scrapbooking, period. Just leave it at that.
Nice.
All
That's
of
like
my
a
badges
lost art.
for my conferences, they all have their own little special memory page. Sometimes it's the receipts from the local restaurants that I go to, just so I can, hey, if I go back, then I'll visit this one restaurant. So yeah, fun facts.
Nice. Very nice. My mom did scrapbooking. I think she still does. But with so many digital photos, like, I don't know a lot of people who still do scrapbooking. That's awesome.
Yeah. I always joke with my team. I'm like, oh, maybe we could put our cyber incidents in a scrapbook, and then nobody laughs. So
I love that. That's a great. That's just looking back at the scrapbook, like, oh, remember when this incident happened, and then this got dropped,
we didn't
and then
leave for 3 days straight, and everyone was so happy because we're coked
then they
up on
pivoted
Red
to
Bull
DA. Oh, that'd be great. I like it.
That is kind of awesome.
Nah.
How do you like being a SOC manager?
I say working in a SOC is not for everyone. And, I might persuade people a different way because I have a very golden retriever, happy-go-lucky personality. But I will say there are times where it's absolutely stressful. I would say working in a SOC, you have to have jack of all trades, master of none, because it's better than master of one, right? You have to do customer-facing engagements. You have to be charismatic. You have to take very technical security events and bring them down to someone that probably the most engagement on their computer is logging into an email or, using it to check MSN News. But it's literally a jack of all trades. And so you're needing to switch from one skill to another in a split second while also probably making a decision that can be financially impactful to a business. And then if you make the wrong decision or something, even if you're a developer and you push something to prod that wasn't supposed to, CrowdStrike, then, you have to go back and sell your stakeholders why security matters, because now you're millions and millions of dollars of revenue and services, or if it's a contract obligation, so it's a sales hat, a technical hat, and then also you have to have your customer service hat. So me personally, I love it. I don't know, maybe I'm addicted to stress and adrenaline, but
No, I'm right there with you.
We all need something in our life.
To be like working in a SOC or an IR, you have to be like a little bit of glutton for punishment and actually like love being tortured at some point. And like diving deeper, and then realizing like, oh, there's actually nothing here, and I just worked for 3 hours for nothing. Like that happened.
Yeah,
that
you get all the fun conversations of, oh, hey, this is why you need MFA. I don't care what your title is, but hey, keep secure, And then you also have the other conversation of like, it's nothing here. You just went to a website with a pop-up and it scares you. I was like, did you call the number that says you need to update your antivirus that we manage? No? Okay, good. We're fine.
Oh, man. I once had someone call that number, and then the people asked who they worked for.
Oh, my gosh.
And, right? And the person hung up on them. Because, they're like, we're not going to be able to do anything for you. And then they called us and were like, oh, well, I guess at least like our reputation precedes us. Like that worked out.
You're like, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Wow. That would have been quite interesting. Classic scammers. I think of the dude who's got the YouTube channel where he gets on those calls with the scammers just to mess with them.
There's a
Yeah.
couple of them. Yeah.
He's a hero.
I told this story on another podcast, and it's always like, hey, you work in security, and I would say outside looking in, people are like, oh, that means like your friends and family, they know everything about cybersecurity. I'm like, no, I have a father. He used to fly commercial airlines, by the way. He's retired now, so if anyone's flying a commercial airline, they can feel a little more safe. But he had actually fallen for one of those gift card scams because he thought he was signing up for a good like cell phone provider and stuff like that. And he spent a couple of zeros on gift card, and it worked out for us. We got our Christmas presents, early. And he also got to buy groceries off of these cards for a while, so it worked out. But now it's more like, hey, this is a scam. These are things that you need to look for. And then you get the other side of the family that's sending you all these videos of AI deepfakes, promoting bad content. And you're like, first off, that person has 7 fingers, and their ears are different shades of skin tone. Like, yeah, so everything, security education, security awareness, both in and out of business, absolutely is evolving. So, if it's not.
Very true. What do you feel like you see most often nowadays?
Yeah.
Separate question. Are you with a specific company running a SOC, or are you guys an MSSP? You don't have to say what company or.
Yeah, I'm with a single company. In a previous life, I did work for an MSP, and I will say there were different challenges between the two different environments. And especially with an MSP, not only are you, I would say, butting heads with a customer, but now you're also butting heads with contract agreement. Because if you don't meet SLAs or anything like that, right, now it's on to you. But then you're also losing that insight from an analyst because they're working so fast to meet those contract requirements that purpose of the alert is gone. And then you also have these different effects, like the customer might view a high and critical alert different than how NIST or how you map it to MITRE and the impact it might have to that company, because that company that's buying that MSP service doesn't understand security and everything is high priority to them. And so having those different technical to non-technical conversations is definitely a struggle on the MSP side. Now, if you do more of the corporate America side, depending on the environment, depending on your security budget, you're going to be running into, I would say, resources and education. You might have multiple hats. You might have to be the pen tester and also working alerts while also managing the SIM and the SOAR, where if you have a bigger security budget, now you're having to talk to specific different groups. Like, hey, this person manages antivirus. This person does detection engineering or threat intel. And then you run into the issue with the SOC of, what is exactly our gaps? What's value add? What is our business wanting? Because now we're having to sell security as to why we should be keeping that budget, or, what else do we need to fill those gaps as well? And of course, everyone has a different personality in the business. So that's always fun to deal with, but hey, it comes with the game.
Yeah. The MSP life was rough. Especially like managing the relationships with the customer, especially because most of these people are security analysts, right? You're not necessarily customer oriented, which is rough. But then each one is you kind of learn which ones need to be massaged in different ways, and then understand who wants what type of alert. And then I'm sure you've had this, like every now and then you get like a hostile customer, and you realize,
oh my gosh, it doesn't matter what you do, they're just angry at you.
You realize they're trying to get rid of you or something.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's gonna be hard.
Yeah.
Where they've hired you, but they don't want you.
Yeah.
Wade, I will 1000% I don't know, whenever I retire, I will go with this to my bed of my retirement, is working in an MSP service was probably the most challenging experience out of my career, just because you have so little control of what's going on around you. Mm-hmm. And even though you might convey things, even though you might convey, I need to tune this, they need this, it doesn't matter. And you are just constantly opening and closing maybe that same false positive.
Yep.
and nobody's hearing you out. And you can provide these recommendations, but it's not your environment to fix. So
I will say that is the negative and the positive, right? Because when you're working at an actual company like you are now, you have to actually like hunt it down and go fix it. The one nice thing about working as you're just throwing it over the fence.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily have to, but yeah, I was working at a managed security project during WannaCry, and that was literally probably the most fun I've ever had. Yeah, that was so great. That's like one of my shining moments, but I agree with you. The managed security provider life is much harder than any like single provider security life.
Yeah.
I never want to go back, even though I flirt with it a lot.
Sorry to interrupt. This is Future Josh with a message from this season's sponsor.
Do zero-day exploits and supply chain attacks keep you up at night? Well, worry no more. You can harden your security with ThreatLocker. Worldwide, companies like JetBlue trust ThreatLocker to secure their data and keep their business operations flying high. ThreatLocker takes a deny-by-default approach to cybersecurity and provides a full audit of every action allowed or blocked for risk management and compliance. Onboarding and operation is fully supported by their US-based Cyber Heroes support team. Get a free 30-day trial and learn more about how ThreatLocker can help prevent ransomware and ensure compliance. Visit threatlocker.com.
Now, Josh, I know you're about to ask about security trends. I think it's what you're alluding to earlier.
I was kind of thinking something along those lines. But then I realized, since you're working for a specific company, maybe I shouldn't ask about the trends that you're saying, because they might be, tell a little bit about what you're doing. So I pivoted poorly.
Well, I can kind of like, if anyone's even looking for advice on that, and this isn't the first time I've had that question, it's like, oh, what's going on in your organization? And I'm like, well, that is super confidential according to my NDA. But what I can tell you is, regardless of what I'm seeing in my company, it's also important for people to know what's going on in their business or what's happening. And a lot of the times I get the question, especially if we're talking about building a detection engineering program or even looking on threat intel, it's like, where do I start? What should I be throwing money toward? You know, I don't have money, and this is value insight. And every company does threat intel different. That's just the lay of the land of the business we work in. But I always tell people, be engaged with the community. Number one, get on LinkedIn, get on X, get on Blue Sky, get on Reddit, and just see what these threat researchers are doing. I guarantee you, if you look up the hashtag threat research or malware research, that's a good place to start. And then you can probably rabbit hole down into following other influencers on these platforms and just seeing like what exactly is going on out there. I would say, like, especially being from the Kansas City area, I have such a very strong community in the cyber network that we have channels on Discord and everything where we talk about, hey, we're seeing a lot of trends in this, or hey, we had a tip on this, you know, and having those network communications, because now maybe we can pivot and have different defenses or even awareness to our business as to, hey, keep out for XYZ, you know, in the area, people are seeing a rise of this. And another thing I always recommend to people is reach out to your security vendor. Like whether it's an email security vendor, a firewall vendor, or someone that does EDR, just see what is going on, like trends that they're collecting. I guarantee you most of the time they will share it. It might not be in a full extensive report, but they might be able to provide insight as to, hey, you know, if you work in, I don't know, retail, right? We're seeing a trend of this happening in retail, or we see a trend of this APT targeting retail businesses, or hey, we've seen a new emerging threat. And it's really important to have those relationships with your vendor, because I guarantee you they probably have a dedicated team that's out there looking for these trends, because they're the ones that are giving suggestions to the engineers to push these security updates to the products. So those are usually the first three: community engagement, just read the news, etc., and then also reach out to your vendor. So
that's a huge one. I mean, Talos and Unit 42 are well known.
Oh, absolutely.
And their blogs are very helpful, but frankly, there's a lot of folks who are there who want to tell you all the cool stuff that they're finding that they don't have time to put in the blog or make a whole report about.
And then get it approved through communications and marketing and PR and, legal probably. So, yeah.
The backdoor intel, right? Like the room in that you get from the community where not necessarily given to the proper channels is usually the best right off the bat. Where someone's like, hey, we just saw this, like, look out for this particular process tree or this, what's going on. I've had a lot of that happen and then something like actually occur from it, which works out really well.
Oh, yeah.
Dev tunnels, right?
Dev tunnels was one of them. Yeah, dude. That friggin', did you ever? So now I'm gonna have to. We were on this podcast and a red teamer told me about Microsoft Dev tunnels.
Yes.
And right, so it's like an easy backdoor. It's already allowed listed through all the firewalls and everything. It looks just like typical developer traffic. And I spun it up and was able to tunnel out of multiple networks with it with nothing firing. And so I started telling a bunch of people about it. I'm like, hey man, like this is a really easy like way to C2 exfil, and it's actually like a really easy detection. You just have to either look for the domain or the process firing. And shortly after I told everybody about that, it came out that there was a nation state using it. And I was like, I told you. And then Josh was making fun of me because I was telling everybody to like build a detection for it.
It's good. And it's funny. So I'm going to always keep bringing it up.
I'll endorse you on LinkedIn for that. Don't worry.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, endorse for Dev Tunnels. Go right next to my mustache endorsement.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if you guys ever look on like people's LinkedIn, or if you're like inviting a guest out, I'm sure you kind of casually breeze through my LinkedIn endorsements. There's a couple of Easter eggs in there from people being trolled. My coworkers had endorsed me for eating at Applebee's because I had a routine of going to like Applebee's and Chili's every Thursday and getting a basket of fries. And that is what I did. That every single Thursday. Sandra at the bar, she knows me by name because I'm the French fry girl. And they endorsed me for it. I'm like, you guys make fun of me for not having a social life. Like that is like my way of getting out of the house and talking to people like that I don't normally talk to. And they're like, no, like that's a skill. And so now that's a thing on LinkedIn. So I think I have like 2 or 3 endorsements on it. I'm like, you guys are enough.
I'm gonna go endorse it right now.
It's amazing.
It's down at the bottom. I'm still scrolling. You got a bunch of, there you go. Applebee's customer.
Yeah, there you go. And then there was and recently in our area, they closed a bunch of Applebee's franchises and everything. And I got a couple of condolence cards at work over it. So sorry for your loss. And I was like, you guys.
I know some folks in Kansas City who would be like, why are you going to Applebee's when you're in Kansas City? But you got to go where
the French fries call,
Yeah.
I mean, when Taco Bell released the nacho fries, I think I was gone for a week, They had a nacho fry subscription, and I really debated on getting the nacho fry subscription. It was like $10 a month for like 4 months or something. I was like, whoa.
How many do you get?
Is it weird that when you said $10 a month, I was like, that's actually decent.
That's a good deal.
Dude, I was trying to get the Olive Garden subscription.
Oh, with the unlimited pasta. Oh my gosh.
I tried to get that every year it came out. Like, and even though it was like stupid expensive, I'm like, this will be just hilarious. Like,
I was like, if I eat X amount of bowls per week, and I'm like, oh, I was like, that's a deal. I'm actually getting money back if I
carbs,
do 12 pasta bowls in a week. And I'm like, oh, that's a lot of carbs. And I was like, and then COVID happened, and it is what it is. I don't think they brought it back since COVID, probably for very obvious reasons. But here we are.
How did you, speaking of here we are, how did you get to where you are being a SOC manager? What's your origin story?
Way back in the day, I eventually fell into cyber. It was a complete accident. I was actually going to school for criminal justice. I wanted to be a state highway patrolwoman, which worked out in my favor. I know you can't see me on camera, but I'm 5'2", so I'm very short. I'm way too happy to be a police officer, which is ironic because I work in a SOC. But I eventually taking a Python programming class, and I ended up falling in love with programming. I was eventually going to be a web developer, and then my university rolled out with a cybersecurity course, which just behind what I wanted to do. It was literally working backwards type of thinking with a lot of my classes. And so that's something I thought was cool because it's a challenge. Not a lot of people can think like that. And especially when you take malware and deploy it in a sandbox and you try to find exactly what it did. And log, ooh, this is fun. It's like Nancy Drew. But eventually, you know, I landed my first job. I worked at a Fortune 50 company for a bit, and I got that job by networking in my community. Otherwise, I probably would not have landed it. I went to a lot of, you know, like local B-Sides events. I went to local security clubs, and then someone knew someone that knew me that would be a good personality fit for the team. So they hired me on as an intern. I eventually got full-time. I did a lot there, wore many different hats. I did things on like the network security side, the endpoint engineering side, so hardening antiviruses, and then I rolled into a lot of the defense operations, so detection, things like that. Eventually, I got tired of corporate America, and I was like, no, this was my first big girl job. I want to see what else is, you know, out there. And I ended up going the MSP route, and I was like, absolutely not. I was like,
Not for you.
I was like, I need a Monday to Friday schedule. Like MSPs, a lot of times have like 12-hour days or the 10-hour days. I was like, I need my weekends to, I don't know, play Animal Crossing, because Animal Crossing got released around then. And I was like, no, I can't do this. So eventually I landed at my current company, and they hired me in as a senior SOC analyst. And that was like one of the first questions I had asked in my interview is, can I work Monday to Friday? So like, I will work whatever like long days. It just needs to be Monday to Friday. And they're like, oh yeah, easy. And so I ended up being part of their SOC for a bit. It was really cool, especially being back down to a single company. But the company I work for has a great culture, great culture. And eventually they offered an opportunity for me to go in the leadership role. And I was like, you guys are crazy. And I rolled into the leadership role, and I was like, oh, I enjoy this a lot more than being hands-on technical. And I like during my leadership, I would say journey, there's times I had questioned myself, like being a leader, right? It was one of those, should I be technical because I'm walking through technical processes, I'm very hands-on keyboard, or do I need to focus on being a people leader and a mentor and actually being like that guiding factor? And it got to a point where I was just like, I don't know how to decide that. And so what I ended up doing, especially working on security, right? You have accesses to specific consoles and documentation and things like that. I took away my account on those. And I said, if I cannot function on these consoles or appliances without having that specific access, that is my wake-up call if I should be an individual contributor or a leader. Fast forward, didn't need it, didn't miss it. And, you know, it provided me insight as to how I can lead my team, essentially, without having to be hands-on keyboard. And it was a big insight to me, because I was like, oh, that's what it means to lead, you know, not me driving it. It's me guiding that conversations and fostering those skills, because eventually, you know, one day I might win the lottery and I might retire very happily and go work at a plant nursery. But, you know, it's important that the people behind me are able to succeed and be successful and confident with what they're doing. And so that's what was driving me essentially now. And of course, once I kind of discovered my passions by doing that, that's led me to other opportunities like public speaking, for example, which was also an accident. But I really enjoyed the inspiration of giving back to the community. And then also the other opportunities such as teaching college on the side as well, which allow me to fund my LLC that I have and be able to have a podcast and, you know, other engagements and events that I can bring back to the community. It's been really insightful. I've had a lot of like college students or people trying to break into the field, and they're like, what can I do? I don't have experience on my resume. It's been like the #1 feedback. And I'm like, why don't you do like research for my podcast, right? Deep dive into the GPT group or this threat and understand the attack chain and exactly what were the remediations. Because when you go in these technical interviews, I guarantee you they're going to ask you a question as to tell me about a cyber threat that's not phishing and how was that remediated. And so now you're getting that insight, and now you have your professional brand, you're building your network this way. So it's It's been a very fun experience. If you had asked me, the 7 years ago when I first started where I would be at, this was not on my bingo card at all.
You hit so many points I want to talk about right now. The first one will be the Monday to Friday, right? So I went from customer service to IT to security. I didn't have a Monday through Friday job for the first 4 years in tech, right? And when I finally got that Monday to Friday, I felt like that was the point where I made it. I'm like, finally, I can have a normal sleep schedule. I get to go out with my friends and have everything.
You're like, this is where I made it. And my point in life where I'm like, I made it is when I was able to afford a fridge that makes ice.
Oh my God. Yeah. I literally, my first fridge down here, literally first fridge I've ever had that actually makes ice. To same exact thing. But no, the giving back to the community part, right? And then especially, I really like how you're saying with the LLC, I've done something very, very similar where I've gotten people like, hey, I need a bunch of research on this. We'll just say that you're an intern for me and then help you get experience and get moving. And that is, I think a lot of that, it's almost like mentorship / internship stuff. I think that needs to happen a lot more in the community to help all these people who are trying to get in and at least have that a little bit more experience to push.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do we get interns? Side note,
you don't. I do. I have too many, to tell you the truth. No, none of them really do anything. Every now and then, I tell them, can you? What's a Kubernetes? Figure that out for me real quick, and then next thing you know,
what is cloud? Period.
Oh my God, that was
just other people's Linux machines, right?
Followed by, how can AI automate me out of a job in a legal way?
Ooh.
And how can I still make money?
And not tell my employer. No, don't do that for legal reasons. Don't do that. No.
Yeah, not a lawyer. How'd you accidentally fall into public speaking?
Oh my gosh.
I like your wording.
So back in the day when I got my first job, I had a professor from when I was getting my undergrad reach out to me, and they're like, hey, what do you feel about a master's? I'm like, no. Oh, I'm like, I work a full-time job. I do not need more school. I made it. I'm set. I'm good. And they're like, well, come back. It'll be fun. And I'm like, okay, you convinced me in 2 emails and, you're pleading and I enjoyed you as a teacher. But so I ended up going through my master's program, and I went the technical route with my master's. I know some people like to do the pass and fail, and it really depends on your career path. That's why a lot of people, in my opinion, go to WGU, is for, the freedom to self-pace their work, essentially. And I'm one of those people, I can't self-pace. I don't have, I would say, the time management for it. I like to have a set schedule. I like to know when things are due, and it just makes me feel less stressed about it. And as I'm going through my program, my professor had reached back out to me and was like, oh, hey, how do you feel about research? I'm like, you already got me in your grad program, and now you're wanting me to do research? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, no, fun for who? And so I ended up doing research, and my research was understanding not only can you phish users, but if you phish them at the same time, will they also click? And then if you progressively remove some of those attributes, is the same trend, right? So what's the gap? And eventually, I came out with a algorithm that talked about phishing, essentially higher the phishing attributes, the higher the likelihood a user will spot it as a phish, why are users clicking, et cetera, et cetera. And so I had attended my local B-sides for a bit, and they posted a call for papers. And this is when I first started getting on LinkedIn, and I'm seeing people, go to public speaking events, influencers, quotations that I follow. And I'm just like, oh, well, that looks fun, and, the B-sides KC promoted their call for papers. And I'm like, why not? We'll just put it in there and see what happens. And how B-sides KC does their rounds, they have first round pick, second round pick, third round pick. And so I email, and it was like, oh, by the way, you didn't make first rounds, but, we passed you along to the second round. And I'm like, oh, darn, and eventually they got to the second rounds, and I see that, congrats, you're speaking at B-sides KC. And I'm like, what? I'm like, oh my gosh, no way. it was a very conflicting reaction. And so I was like, I have to make slides. I don't know how to make slides. I don't know how to, like, I've never presented in front of people. And of course, like, the first thing you do, I call it the medical surgery effect, where you're about to go get a surgery. And so you look up, hey, how many people have died from this surgery? Or, hey, how many was this conducted? And next thing you know, you're watching like an animated video on YouTube on like how people remove your gallbladder. But I kind of started doing that with public speaking. I'm like, can you pass out while public speaking? How many people attend a normal security conference? What was the attendance of B-Side last year? And I'm just like, oh my gosh. I'm like, not for me. And so one of my mentors, I was telling her, I was like, I think I'm gonna back out. Like, I can't do this. And she's like, suck it up and go out there. And I'm like, oh yes. So I went on YouTube and I was watching some of the presentations from like B-Fight Las Vegas and, DEF CON, and just seeing how people presented. And one of the things that stuck out to me was the ones I enjoyed watching were the ones that were passionate with their topic. And I submitted a topic that I knew I was comfortable with because it was my research, right? It's something I've done. And I said, okay. So I prepped my presentation. I think I presented it to my dog at least 13 times. He was the best audience member, very attentive, mostly because I was holding a little treat the entire time. So good for him. But eventually, here comes the day of the conference. And I was a mess the night before. One of the things that I'm very confident in is that preparation mindset. If my slides fail, am I able to just talk about my presentation, right? I don't rely on the slides. And I had memorized my presentation so much, I woke up in my sleep the night before saying my presentation. And I was nervous. I was so nervous. The outfit I wore professional stretchy slacks. So it was like sweatpants, but they look like slacks because I was afraid like the button on my pants would like pop and go into the audience. And then I also wore flats because I was afraid if I wore heels, I would trip and fall and it would just be on YouTube as like security fails 2021 or something. And
viral.
Yeah, I mean, but I went in with all of these like weird anxiety, imposter syndrome fears. And maybe it's because like if I focused on, my bun popping in the audience, then like I won't worry about my presentation. So I get up and I realized there were 80 people in this audience. And I'm just like, I was like, I'm not like, people are going to think I'm an idiot. Like, I'm not like as technical as some of these like amazing people that I've watched. I'm like, no way. So I get up there, I plug my laptop in and I hit start and then the HDMI cable went out. And I was like, oh my, nice. I was like, my worst fear is happening right now. And the tech person goes, oh yeah, that cable's been fidgety all day. And she like takes it and like jiggles it, plugs it back in and it works like just fine. I'm like, okay, cool. Like all of that confidence I just had built up walking up here just completely went out the window, And so I took a deep breath and I'm going through my presentation and I'm getting laughs, even though I didn't realize I put jokes in my presentation and, like people are nodding their heads. And so at the very end, like I felt honestly not good about it. And that's also because I have a hard time accepting like I did great, I did awesome. And I had people come up to me after and they're like, holy cow, like I never thought of it like that. I never like I'm taking this away from it. And at the very end, this person comes up and shakes my hand and they're like, hey, we have another security conference in a couple of weeks at this venue. It's Casey local. Are you interested in doing this presentation? I can connect you with the event coordinator. And I'm like, what? They're like, yeah. And so that ended up being a waterfall or a dripple of water. And now like I have the opportunities to go international and all these other things. But one of the things that I took away from it or took back is whenever I mentor someone about speaking or finding a topic, it starts with the question of what are you passionate about? Why did you get in this field? What is the one thing that you grin and you unmute your mic when someone brings up that topic? Because I guarantee you that is going to be your speaking topic. And then making slides, whatever. I have a rule of I have an image and no more than 4 bullets and 5 words per bullet. People aren't there to read a slide. People are there to listen to. And if
Do
you
not read the slides.
Yeah, I hate slides. I hate slides so much. I think I just started putting QR codes on my 2025 slides. I'm like, here's the resource, if you need something, like here's a QR code, and no, it's not phishing. But like, that's what I tell people is if you have to have slides, then think about really what your message is, because you're having to rely on a script. If you're having to rely on your slides, then you're not conveying the message organically. Like, have a conversation with yourself about what you're talking about and make your presentation off of that conversation, because that's what people are going there for, is for that, relationship almost. Is it personable? Is it relatable? Is it engaging? And once you're passionate and you have your message clear, I was like, everything else is easy sailing. In fact, because some people are like, I can't talk in front of an audience. I'm like, are you looking at an audience? Or are you just zoning off? Because I find one guy in the audience and he is my best friend. And
Yes.
I make very uncomfortable eye contact with this guy. But, and that's what I tell people. I'm like, find that one person and make direct eye contact with them, and then maybe shift gaze to another person on the opposite side, so it looks like you're scanning the audience. And whether or not that's good advice, I've heard good things about, things I say, but everyone has their own way of presenting. There's not one special way, and that's absolutely one thing I've learned. So
that's exactly how the Air Force taught me and how I get through any talk I do.
Yeah.
I find the person who will nod, and I just keep returning to them like, okay, I feel good. You rock.
My one, I know we're going over time here, but my one presentation I did last year, I was at B-Sides Knoxville, and it's by far probably one of my more favorite B-Sides to go to, just because like the community is so wholesome there. They're so supportive. It doesn't matter where you're from. They're like, oh yeah, cyber, it's stickers and, swag items. You're like, yeah. And so I was doing a talk there, and my talk was about building career paths and building job descriptions. And so I pulled up an example of a posting on LinkedIn, and one of the first requirements was 10 plus years of experience, including a CISSP, but the position was for an internship. And so and so of course, like everyone was laughing. I was like, just real quick, I was like, who all has a CISSP? And this one guy raised his hand. I was like, congrats on your internship, sir, Yeah, he was not a fan of that. But
the last talk I did, I went through like the 7 stages of grief. That was like the best way to put it. Like, I didn't want to do it. I didn't believe I was doing it. I got scared. I was getting sick. And then by the final day, the day before I was going to give it, I just had like accepted my death. I was just like, nope, I'm just going to do it. Like, I'm just going to wing it. Like, I don't do a lot of practice speaking. When I do one, I'll do it in my head, but I don't give it out loud. So I feel like it throws more emotion in it for me.
Oh yeah.
But the butterflies beforehand can get pretty gnarly. But that's the best part. It's like that fear beforehand of the unknown, and to get the adrenaline.
It's like the first date, and then it's over with, and you're like,
yeah.
I think of it as like the beginning of a roller coaster.
Oh,
where like you're building up tension, and like you got to lean into that feeling.
Absolutely.
Reanna, it's been so great to have you here. We like to ask everyone, what one piece of advice would you give to people to help them in defense of cybersecurity?
Yeah. Well, I have 2 pieces of advice. I know you asked for one, but I'm an overachiever here.
Excellent.
The first one is don't eat expired food out of your fridge. Lesson learned. Move on. A second piece of advice is, regardless if you're defensive, offensive, if you're doing GRC or wherever, remember to network, or remember to rely on your community. Because if you get laid off, if you want to know about emerging tech, if you want to learn a new skill, you have to be engaged with your community and know what's going on around you. It's so easy to be siloed, in my opinion, and be comfortable showing up to a 9-to-5 job or just doing the same thing over and over again. But if you truly want to grow, if you truly want to like know what your passions are, you have to be uncomfortable. You have to take risks, and knowing how to fail is going to have to be okay. Otherwise, you're not going to learn who you truly are, in my opinion, especially in this field. And who knows, maybe your journey might inspire someone else. You might be that future mentor for someone that is going through the exact same thing that you're doing now. And so really connecting and being open to those suggestions and those challenges can really go a long way. Trademark, Reanna 25.
Yeah, that was good. Those and a lot of those sideload people are all on Reddit. I'm gonna get hate for that, but they're all there.
Brilliant. I would love to be super troll on Reddit. Let's do it. Where can people find you, Reanna?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have I'm all over the place, but you can find me on LinkedIn primarily at Reanna Schultz. I'm also on X as Cyber Reanna with 1 R. You can also find me on Blue Sky at Reanna.Schultz. And then, of course, my YouTube channel is Cyberspeak Labs. You are more than welcome to watch me yell at ChatGPT or, get upset with the Try Hack Me Lab. But I'm out there. I'm fun.
You did several Advent of Cyber episodes. I'm trying not to sound stocky. They were good.
Okay. I 1000% like that McSkitty character. I definitely did not finish Advent of Cyber, so sorry, not sorry. But that McSkitty character, oh my gosh, it was so adorable. I reached out to someone on Try Hack Me and I was like, I don't know who made her. I love her. I want her on a shirt. I want her on a sticker. I take my money, insert pride.
A kid's book for McSkitty.
Ooh, let me talk to someone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Josh has the connections everywhere. It'll happen now.
I want McSkitty on something.
I'll ask Amanda. I'm talking to her on Monday.
Yes. Thank you. Thanks.
All right. Thank you everyone for tuning in. If you like this episode, like it, subscribe, give it stars, all those things. Find Reanna. We're going to put links to all of her stuff in the show notes. Any closing thoughts, Wade?
I'm just thinking about McSkitty. That's not
right.
No, I'm good. No, it was good talk. Always someone who's
starting your podcast with Toodles.
Toodles. I'll let Josh
we can end with that. Thank you, everyone.
See ya.
Make sure to say
Toodles.
Then you got to say Toodles.
I said it.
Toodles.
I said it. God.
Toodles.
Perfect.